You know, if you just stop and look around at nature, you see spirals everywhere. Think about a snail shell or even a whole galaxy swirling. It's the shape of growth, right?
So,
Elegant.
absolutely. It's a fundamental pattern. Efficient, complex.
But there's this one creature deep in the fossil record that took this elegant spiral and put it somewhere. Well, somewhere completely unexpected and, frankly, terrifying.
Ah, you must be talking about Helicoprion.
Exactly, the giant predator with a spiral in its mouth.
Today, we're diving into the sources on this creature, this Permian puzzle, our mission, to finally understand this tooth whirl.
And it's quite a story. We're talking way back the Permian period, maybe 300 to 250 million years ago. This thing swam the oceans right up until the big extinction event.
And was huge, right? The sources say something like double the size of a modern great white.
Lengthwise, yeah, roughly. Though probably a bit narrower, sleeker perhaps. Definitely an apex predator of its time.
So instantly you think shark. Big ocean predator, looks shark-like.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't really a shark, was it? Not in the modern sense, no. It looked the part, acted the part. But its family tree is actually, well, kind of weird. It belongs to a group called Holocephaly.
Hollow what now?
Holocephaly.
Right.
Doesn't ring many bells for most people, I bet. Their only living relatives today are the chimera forms. You know, ratfish, chimera.
So those strange deep-sea fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's relevant because chimeras also have unusual dental structures, permanent grinding plates that they don't shed. It hints at this ancient split in cartilaginous fish evolution.
Huh. So Helicoprion was basically the enormous, terrifying cousin of today's weird little deep-sea chimeras. And the whole reason we're fascinated is that structure, that circular saw of teeth.
The tooth whirl.
Yeah.
That's the core of the mystery, absolutely. And studying it, well, it's been a real challenge for paleontologists.
Because of the cartilage skeleton, right? Like modern sharks.
Precisely. Most of the body just didn't fossilize, it disintegrated. What lasted were those incredibly dense fused tooth structures, the whorls.
So you're finding these bizarre spirals, and there aren't many, maybe only about 100 known worldwide, totally isolated, like finding just the blade of a chainsaw detached from everything else.
That's a good analogy. Imagine trying to figure out the whole machine from just the blade. The first proper find was back in 1886 in Western Australia.
And they had no clue what they were looking at.
Understandably bewildered, they initially thought it might belong to another extinct fish, a destis, which also had weird teeth. They knew it was teeth, but the spiral arrangement, it made no sense.
Okay, so that was the first guess. Then what?
Well, the plot thickened in 1899. A Russian geologist found another one, this time in Kazakhstan. He realized, no, this isn't a destis, this is something totally new, a new genus. But the big question remained, where on earth did this thing fit?
This is where the wild ideas started coming in.
Oh, absolutely. With almost zero anatomical context, the initial guess, the one that actually gave it its name.
Helicoprion's spiral jaw.
Right. The first hypothesis was that the whirl curled outwards from the front of the snout, like some kind of bony party blower.
A party blower of death. Seriously.
Seriously. And once that idea was out there, it just opened the floodgates for over a century of speculation. You look at the sources, people proposed it grew out of the dorsal fin, maybe unfurling as a defense thing.
Or maybe the tail, like a slashing weapon.
That was another one. On the tail or somewhere lower on the back. It just shows how utterly baffling this fossil was without any context.
And to make matters worse, some early fossil hunters, they actually damaged the evidence, didn't they?
Tragically, yes. In their eagerness to collect these spectacular tooth whorls, they sometimes unknowingly chipped or hacked right through the surrounding cartilage that had actually fossilized.
Oh no, the very thing they needed.
Exactly. They were destroying the crucial clues, the bits that showed how it all connected. That mineralized cartilage was the missing link, and it's so rarely preserved anyway.
So this guessing game went on for how long? Decades.
More than half a century after the genus was named. The big breakthrough, the moment things finally clicked, didn't happen until 1950, with a fossil found in Idaho.
Idaho. Okay, what was so special about this one specimen?
It was crushed, actually. But
Right.
crucially, it was the only one ever found where the bits of cartilage, the endoskeletal elements around the tooth whirl, were still pretty much in place, preserved together.
Finally, the context.
Finally, the anatomical blueprint. And this whirl was impressive, about 23 centimeters across, it's nearly 9 inches. It had 117 serrated teeth packed into it.
Wow. A 9-inch buzzsaw made of teeth. And the big reveal from this Idaho fossil was
That the tooth whirl was definitively located inside the mouth, specifically anchored in the lower jaw.
Okay, so it wasn't a party blower or a tail weapon. It was in the jaw. But how did it work?
Right, that was the next piece of the puzzle. It wasn't just a static structure. The Idaho find, combined with later analyses using CT scans on other specimens, revealed this incredible mechanism. We call it the dental conveyor belt.
A dental conveyor belt. Okay, break that down. How is that different from, say, a modern shark constantly losing and replacing teeth?
Well, like sharks, Helicoprion did constantly produce new teeth. But here's the key difference. They never lost their old ones.
Never.
Never shed them. Modern sharks have rows of teeth, usually on both jaws, and the old ones fall out as new ones move in. Helicoprion seems to have only had this functional tooth structure on the bottom jaw. New teeth formed way back in the mouth in what you could call a little tooth factory.
Okay, deep in the back of the lower jaw.
Exactly. And instead of growing up and then shedding, these new teeth grew forward along the midline of the jaw, supported by this thick cartilage base right where a tongue would normally be.
So pushing the older teeth ahead of them.
Precisely. As new teeth erupted from behind, they pushed a whole row forward. Since the front teeth couldn't fall out, they just got pushed down and curled back underneath, forming that characteristic spiral.
So the spiral is actually made of its own baby teeth, essentially, just accumulating over its lifetime.
In a way, yes. The more loops, the more revolutions in the whirl, the older the fish. It's like reading tree rings, but with teeth. A lifetime dental record coiled into one structure.
That is absolutely wild. So, okay, you've got this giant, rotating, self-accumulating saw blade in your lower jaw, but no teeth on the top jaw to bite against. What on earth are you eating with that?
That's the functional question, right?
Yeah.
The structure itself gives us clues. It doesn't look like something designed for crushing hard shells or bone. The current thinking is it specialized in soft-bodied prey.
Like squid. Or maybe ammonites without super thick shells.
Exactly. Squid, other cephalopods, maybe small, soft fish that swam in schools. The whirl wasn't for crunching. It was more like a highly efficient shearing and processing machine.
Okay, that makes sense. You wouldn't use a circular saw to crack nuts. It's for slicing, so it pulled food in and sliced it up on the way down.
Sort of, yeah. Each part of the whirl seems to have had a slightly different job because there were no upper teeth providing opposition. The teeth right at the front edge. The newest functional ones were often hooked, probably for snagging prey, dragging it in.
Okay, hooks at the front.
Then the larger serrated teeth in the middle section would do the main cutting and piercing as the jaw closed or the prey was pulled across them.
Slicing and dicing.
And then the teeth further back in the spiral, the older ones deeper in the mouth, were angled backwards. Their job was likely to push the processed food down the throat, preventing it from squirming back out. It was a one-way trip.
An incredibly specialized feeding system. Wow. And you mentioned earlier that even the teeth themselves, the shape of the teeth in the whirl, gave clues, allowed scientists to split Helicoprion into different species.
That's right. Subtle variations in tooth morphology. The shape, the spacing, the height of the cutting edges suggest that different populations or species might have been specializing on slightly different types of soft prey or maybe hunting in slightly different ways.
Like finding different types of saw blades for different materials.
Exactly. Based on these differences, scientists now generally recognize 3 distinct species, mainly differentiated by their tooth whorls.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first you have Helicoprion devisi. This one had quite stout teeth, widely spaced, with really tall cutting surfaces, maybe suggesting it tackled slightly larger or tougher soft prey, needing powerful shearing.
Wider gaps, taller blades. Got it.
Then there's Helicoprion bessinoi. This species had teeth that were narrow and very closely spaced, but the cutting surfaces were relatively short. Perhaps this was better for processing lots of smaller, very soft items quickly, finer cuts.
Narrow, close-set, short blades. Like a finer saw. Makes sense.
And the third one, Helicoprion orgoni, seems to be a bit of a mix. It had the narrow, closely spaced teeth like bessinoi, but combined them with the tall cutting surfaces seen in devisi.
So maybe a generalist within the soft prey niche?
Perhaps. Or adapted to something specific that required both fine spacing and a deep cut. It shows this amazing fine-tuning even within this one bizarre lineage driven by diet over millions of years.
It's just incredible. We went from finding this biological question mark, this spiral that looked almost like a prank, to understanding the intricate mechanics and even the potential diet variations of an apex predator from 300 million years ago, all thanks to those teeth.
And critically, thanks to that one Idaho specimen that finally provided the context, it really underscores how much a single, well-preserved fossil can revolutionize our understanding. It took over a century of head-scratching, but persistence paid off. It forced us to completely rethink what was possible for jaw evolution back in the Permian.
It really does. The Helicoprion just demonstrates that evolution, faced with the basic problem of how do I eat this, can come up with solutions that are just profoundly strange and unique.
Absolutely. Which leads to one last thought, something for you to maybe ponder. We know Helicoprion was successful. It was found worldwide. And we know it's only living relatives of those weird deep-sea chimeras. So what happened? What kind of intense environmental pressure during that massive Permian extinction event wiped out this incredible specialized giant while its smaller, stranger cousins managed to survive, retreating into the depths?
Hmm. Why did the buzzsaw vanish while the weirdos survived? That is something to think about.